Welcome to this episode of Estate Agency X. Today it's just me and Rob sitting there talking absolute bollocks for about 40 minutes. No, seriously. Me and Rob are going to sit down and we're going to recap over the Estate Agency X event. He's just asking me some of the things that I've seen in the market. We dig into some really crazy stuff. So if you're an estate agent and you want your mind blown, this is the episode for you.
Estate Agency X, the UK's #1 estate agency podcast discussing the future of estate agency, entrepreneurship and business with hosts Mark Burgess and Rob Brady.
So we haven't had an episode later for a while, Mark. A lot of people I speak to say, we don't even do those Mark, Rob and Rum bottle. I think we should bring that back because that was a lot of fun. But I thought we'd just catch up on this episode and see where you're at, what we're at, where things might be developing in Iceberg. We've just got EAX 10 coming up, come out of the post-summer, stuff that I've probably been speaking to clients with, for a lot probably to catch up since we last did this. So October, forgetting time there, October, a couple of days out before EAX 10. So first thing is like, what are you excited about? Probably when this comes out, it'll be in a few weeks' time. But what's your thing you're excited about for EAX 10?
Well, I mean, as you say, this is post EAX 10 now, so I guess the cat's already out of the bag with it. There's some big discoveries in terms of artificial intelligence, which I know AI just boring for everybody now, but I think it's boring because there's not that groundbreaking. Do you know what I mean? Like, people keep coming out with stuff, be just a bit like, that's all right. But, we showed some stuff at Estate Agency X10 that, I mean, I'm like 30 years in this industry now, and I'm biased, but I've never seen anything like it. Like, it's the first time that I've seen something in this specific industry to do with AI where I thought to myself, that's it. Like, this is the beginning of something that is just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. We had a little side project whereby we wondered if we could get, AI to bring in the addresses of properties that were on the market and monitor, what was going on with those properties, whether they had price reductions, whether they had fall throughs, any of that sort of stuff. Nothing particularly groundbreaking about any of that. You can do that in other softwares. And we sort of thought, yeah, we could do that. And then what though? Then maybe we could match it up with like info in their database. But maybe it's not likely to max that many people, and so then what? Like, you got to send out shitty letters or something like that. So this is not what we're going to be. So that's why it kind of stayed as a side project a year or more ago, and then gradually, like over the course of the last year, like we did a little bit of work on it, and it was just a few months back whereby we sat with our team and the AI, we had these AI scouts go out into the market. So we test it with an agent. 10 AI scouts go out into the market and they bring back thousands of full property addresses and of properties that are on the call tours, all the information about what price they're on for, whether they've had price reductions, how many weeks they've been on the market, all of that sort of stuff. Well, that's pretty cool. And then the AI scouts go through the agent's database and find who the owner of, and they found 750 of those properties whereby the owner, their email address, their telephone number. And then the room that we was in with the developers just literally went into silence as we watched. Was there write personalised pitches for all 750 of those properties about the problems they were facing, how many weeks they'd been on the market, whether they'd had price reduction, whether they had sales fall through, what buyers in the system match, specifically looking in that location, in that price range for that type of property, whether those buyers are first-time buyers, whether they've got nothing to sell, what properties we sold nearby, how many properties we sold nearby all time, how many properties we sold nearby in the last year, how many in the last month, all personalized, written to 750, wrote emails, WhatsApp and letters in about a minute. And we just went, fuck. I mean, that is, it's just insane. Because you're talking like a small tweak and the AI is actually sending the messages, getting the responses, the buying. The AI already knows that. It already knows the agent's USPs. It knows what's so good about them. It knows what the end objective is. It knows how a estate agency will. So it can have two-way conversation, no problem, via email or WhatsApp. And to the point whereby the objective's being reached, whereby the person has said, yeah, okay, I would like you to come around and see me, at which point it's just presented it to the human. There is no human on the planet that can do that. That fast, that accurately, and that consistently. And so it led me to a place in my mind where I went on another 5, 6 steps from it, where I thought to myself, the procrastination that happens when an estate agent decides that they're going to move to a software like Lifecycle, for instance, or just change something big in their business, is kind of extended, because quite often they look around at their competition and they think to themselves, like, I'm kind of already winning this fight. I only need to make this change. And this moment that I witnessed made me realize your competition's already fucking dead. The companies that do what I've just seen are going to do it from day one, and they're going to come and fucking eat you alive. By the time you realize the world just changed, you're fucking dead. It's no different to the whole, that age-old analogy of Blockbuster, Netflix. Right? There's just no way that you're going to be able to catch up with a company that does this first. Imagine, I come to your area, you've got a successful estate agency in Canterbury, everything's been good for all these years. And I come along and I start sending personalised messages to 750. It worked out at like £2.5 million worth of business. In a minute, I'm sending those messages in one fucking minute. And then I'm having conversations with them while I fucking sleep. Real personalised messages. We're not talking about just a random AI saying random things, but I'm talking about real estate. We're talking about, I can see that you've got this 3-bedroom semi-detached house that's been on the market for 9 weeks now with John Smith Estate Agents, and I've got a new strategy that I think might be able to help you. We work specifically on this kind of strategy, and because of that, I've put this many buyers that specifically match against your property in your location. 15 of them are first-time buyers, 4 of them are investors, and importantly, 38 of them have got nothing to sell. I can speak to those people right now about your property. Also, we have a lot of success in your area. This year alone, I've sold 200 properties in your location, 20 of them in the last month. So can we talk to you about coming around and having a conversation about how we might be able to help? That personalised in a second to 750 properties. And that's, you're not going to keep up with that.
And even like, you think like a lot of clients I speak to or agents we speak to, they say like they struggle with the future talent coming through. And you could have anyone sat there, even if we were pushing a button to generate that, and they would have all the history to come through without actually needing it. They don't need to know that they sold this property 9 months around the corner. That wealth of knowledge goes out the door of acquiring that skill set in me.
That's right. And the stumbling block is when you're an established business. So let's go back to that analogy. You've got a successful estate agency in Canterbury. It's quite hard to turn that ship. You've already got staff. You've already got wages. You don't just walk in one day and say to the people that you spend a lot of your time with, like, sorry, you're fired. Like, you just don't do that. But the new start, the new estate agent, they're going to look at it and go, wait, so for, I don't know, let's make it really expensive. Let's make it more expensive than it currently is, and let's say £30,000 a year, right? But at this point in time, no small estate agent is paying £30,000 a year for their estate agency software, what they call their estate agency software. But the reason they're not doing that is because the estate agency softwares that exist at the moment, even the most recent ones that have been released, you work for the estate agency software. So I need people to qualify my portal leads. I need people to send out property matches. I need people to chase viewing feedback. I need people to write property descriptions. I need people to so on and so on and so on and so on. Like do vendor care. I need people to prospect. I need people for all that. The new start estate agent is just going to go, wait, so you're telling me that 30 grand a year or whatever it is, this will qualify all of my portal leads. This will chase all of my viewing feedback. This will write all of my blogs in the way that they need to be written for me to be found in SEO and ChatGPT. This will make my website automatically change when people hit it to be the most appealing version of that website. This will automatically transcribe all my videos and put the text behind the videos so that they get found in ChatGPT. This will find all the properties that are on the market in my area with the address and write personalised pictures to all of it. This will do this. This will do this. It's a fucking no-brainer. I'm not going to employ a member of staff with that first 30 grand. You're going to get the software to do it. And yes, of course, I'm not saying you don't need humans, but you systemize the predictable so you can humanize the exceptional, right? So then, what your humans are doing, the money that you pay for humans, you get them to spend all their time on revenue generating tasks, not chasing viewings, qualifying portal leads. And yeah, you might go, yeah, but if they don't do that, then they miss opportunities. Mate, you're not missing any opportunities. We're missing opportunities if you don't put with AI on it. So this is bringing all the opportunities to the human. And the human's closing it. Like, as you would expect, you would need a human to have a human-to-human conversation at that point. It's a new version. It's a completely new version of a estate agency coming down the track. That's your competition. If you, for a second, are looking around at the current little cloddy estate agents that are next door thinking I just need to stay ahead of them, like, you're dead. You're really dead.
Mm. And I have always come back to it, like, you know, well, you only said in another video we're talking about EX10, and like I remember having when I even first was like 5 or 6 EX, like EX5 or CX6, and we're talking about then what is happening right now, and so like you always have to see the leap forward more than what you believe is the perception right now. Like, who would have thought, like 4 years ago, someone saying it's going to be this AI going to do this or this? You go, no, it's never going to do that. Like,
6 months.
Yeah, look at the world of, like, someone put a post the other day saying it'd be nice, you know, for people to actually put on Facebook and on socials, like, a post that actually isn't just ChatGPT generated because it's so obvious. Imagine a year or 2 years ago, it would just been seen as like a futuristic. No, we'd be writing our own posts.
Yeah,
but it's adapting. Yeah. And like you said, when you showed me the other day, I automatically think back, like, God, if I had this an agency right now, even though we were one of the leaders out there, I'd be using that to my advantage now. I'd be consuming it to the point where the growth is so beyond everyone else.
There's such a big change that you need to make. If you're running an estate agency, like I say, I'm not underestimating the difficulty of changing the format of the business, because, you know, you're talking about changing the technology, the way the staff work, the routine, what people do. That's a big task. So I'm not underestimating that. But what I was saying at Estate Agency X10 is you should be like a kid in a sweet shop. Exactly what you're talking about. You should be looking at this going like, I can't fucking wait to do that. If you're not like that, just fucking quit. Seriously, your business ain't never going to be worth more than what it's worth today if you're not thinking like that. You are Blockbuster. Even if you think you're pretty forward thinking, you can hear you can imagine what's going to happen just from what I'm talking about here. If you're not going to go down that road, you're going to get eaten. It's just inevitable, because I can have 3 members of staff and be constantly prospecting thousands of business, thousands of properties, not potentials are these might go on the market. These are on the market. I can be talking to every single one of them constantly, qualifying every portal lead and knowing every single opportunity in those portal leads and talking to those people. I can be chasing every bit of viewing feedback, getting that viewing feedback, collating it and feeding it back to vendors regularly. I haven't even got staff yet. That's insane when you think of the revenue per employee for a company. Take the total turnover, divide it by how many employees you've got. Mine is going to be ridiculous. And that's going to allow me to do more marketing, invest more in technology, and just keep going. It just compounds and compounds. And every industry has been through this. Every single industry has been through this. You can look at farming, you can look at farming before tractors, you can look at retail before Amazon, you can look at Blockbuster before Netflix. Like, the technology allows you to make more revenue per employee. And that's what I've just witnessed, something whereby, like you say, at some of the other estate agency exits, we spoke about what might come in the future and why you need to be prepared for it. This was the first one where I said, I can show you.
I was going to mention a prodding now. I was going to basically say about, I was in the search of that. It's quite important. Actually, that's what some of the clients I speak to, when they look at their database and like the old ways of doing stuff and the new ways of doing things, I've noticed like a mindset shift towards how they're approaching the market share than anything else. And this is what, when I saw this being launched, I thought, like, when you do trying to find more business out there, you don't find more people and more of a greater access to a newer market and people looking at it. It's the share that's out there right now, and the share doesn't really change. This is the amount of people that you move pretty much month, every year, and that's the same thing. So like, you should be thinking about tools to think you can try and find into new versions of it. This is a tool to aggressively go after that share.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's not getting any bigger. Someone's just going to steal everyone's love.
Exactly, and that's what I think. I think that's where I started to see that when I see the clients are starting to strategically think about, how do I not take market share in a way of like dropping our pants.
Yeah,
it's like, how do I take more of the pie this year, and even before we even had this sort of a product that's going to be available soon. Like, I've seen clients that are building their market share through data generation and strategy.
Yeah,
you layer this thing on top of it, all the stuff they've been doing the last 3 or 4 years is like, well, look, I mean, when we ran that test, we had a good agent who had a lot of business, and we're going 10 AI scouts, and like I say, found loads and loads of matches. And we did wonder, maybe it's just because they've got so much, do so many market appraisers and the government 10 AI scouts, so we went to a small single branch office, just put 3 AI scouts there, just did the same fucking thing. We went to tried it on the third agent, just did the same thing. It's just, I think where the shift is that I'm seeing, in my own head, I'm seeing this shift. I guess it hasn't yet made its way into the market. Even with what you're talking about, you see clients making this transition over. And that's what it's always been about for us over the past decade. Trying to help people make this transition over slowly from what you would consider to be traditional estate agency, with the traditional estate agent tools, to this other way of thinking. And like, it's a slow progress sometimes. I just suddenly saw something that went, unfortunately, a lot of them companies ain't going to make it. I mean, I wish they did. I've dedicated my entire fucking life my business life to try and save those companies. We've been talking about it for a decade. But what I've just seen is like, now new companies, they're not going to need convincing. There's no other way of doing this. My son's 17. I mentioned him before. He's here recording the podcast for us. If he's starting an estate agency, you think he's not using that fucking tool? He just wouldn't be able to work out who wouldn't. I mean, I'm starting an estate agency, but we're going to be prospecting 750 listings for me while I sleep.
of course he's using that fucking tool. He doesn't have to worry about having a conversation with John, who works an old way, that he's been a lawyer member of staff, and they're real difficult conversations, but they're what's going to cure you. In Blockbuster, they didn't just shut all their stores, make everybody redundant and go online. Like, it wasn't right. But it's fucking easy for a startup. The competition that's there right now, one of my sales guys traveled over to the Isle of Wight recently to see a prospect. And the prospect loved it. But they're pausing on it. They're thinking about it. And in my mind, the reason they're doing that is because they're looking around at their competition running out. I don't know. I mean, this does look good, but no rush. But there's a fucking rush. Believe me. Like, forget the people that you can see your competition out there. Just forget them.
I even remember we did that blog called 3 years ago, and we put like Amazon enters estate agency. It's like one of the most read blogs ever. And then we put on the first line saying,
It's good.
"Oh, Jacob, it could happen."
Yeah.
Like, you waiting for that moment, and you are. If that was to land tomorrow, that Amazon decided they're going to estate agents
With this technology.
with I mean, even nowadays, like, you think about, they do custom peopleless shops. Yeah. I mean, like, they came along and said, we're going to have a paperless estate agency with invest a load of money in it, all automation, all AI, and they've got access to all that data already. Like, you would be thinking, holy fuck, this is the original Purple Bricks that's going to come eat us.
I was talking to Hayley, my business partner, and for that, this technology. She was just saying, like, what's the difference? Where is this different than to other big technology companies that do your sort of stuff or whatever? I was saying to her, like, I think the main difference is that most companies that build and discover a tech like this one that I've just spoken about, they then start a company and use it to destroy everybody else in the market. And I have decided, for whatever reason, that I'm going to try and give it to independent estate agents to save themselves and save their businesses. But if you stop for a minute and think of it the other way, imagine I didn't. Imagine I just started a national estate agency with that technology. You're dead. There was just no way around it. You're dead. What are you going to do? Are you going to wait to see someone else actually do this? It's just crazy. That's the main flip that I've seen in the past few weeks. From the moment where we saw that it was Airwhite, all of that stuff, and discovered all of that information. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Obviously, there's loads and loads of things that spin off the back of that. But just that alone was a moment for me like I'd never seen before in this industry. Where I just sat there in silence, thinking, the people that have come this far on the journey with Iceberg, I appreciate it, and they've all been brilliant, and they've bought into Sankin, and for a lot of them, it's made huge differences to their business. But now, those people and everybody else, you're gonna have to stick it up another notch. Like this, your whole business got to fucking change, because we can't be paying people to do anything other than revenue generating tasks. Because
I mean, I look at it when you talk about the flip of time, chasing down viewings, registering people, the usual mundane stuff, the minutes, not just hours you put in. Every single minute they are doing that task, whether that's opening up a tab, doing this, clicking this button. It doesn't take the process. You might think it takes 30 seconds a minute, but actually the overall thing's like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
All those 10 minutes calculated, they could literally just be out on video all the time, interviewing people, for creating your own social media channels, putting that content that gets repurposed back into it. The system then putting that in place. Like, all of a sudden, the awareness structure becomes even more aggressive. That the admin crap that you usually get your team to deal with.
But even if they don't want to get out on video now, they've got artificial intelligence that will write the content.
Yeah.
And they can teach it what are your keywords that you want to get found for in Google, and what are the sort of questions that you want to get found for in GPT. Now write all my blogs for them and do it consistently and put them out there like just on so consistently that I'm, like I say, if I'm that new breed of estate agent that's doing that with no staff, but you've got 15 people and you can't put a blog together every week, I'm just knocking them out like
I bet you, especially when you look at something like you said, like the search, there's a difference in search with, what did I say, Google's traffic down search screens, 22%, yeah, and people are directed to ChatGPT. So like, if you're not doing that, and you, like you said, you've got someone who's doing the right thing, and they go, what's the best estate agent in Canterbury?
Well, here's the thing. Like, they don't say what's the best estate agent in Canterbury. That's the thing that has to change, because you go to Google, you put who's the best estate agent in Canterbury. You go to ChatGPT, you tend to say something like, yeah, I'm thinking about selling my house, but I'm a bit worried about whether I'm going to get the right valuation on it. Who do you think I should speak to that is quite trustworthy within the Canterbury area that would just be honest with me? And it might be that, it might be a whole different conversation. And then what ChatGPT does is it needs to come back with a very convincing, compelling conversation. So keywords and where you rank in Google is kind of irrelevant. Quite often GPT will be pulling people off of page 20 of Google if it's just got the right kind of answer. So it's all of that. If my software on my AI and my technology and my website is making me appear in those searches and you're not, and my content that I'm creating through AI on autopilot is making me appear in Google searches, and my video content is also making me appear in Facebook, and I'm running retargeting and I'm doing this and with hardly any staff. And I'm also sending personalized messages to all of those people on the market that have maybe been on the market for more than 6 weeks, let's just say, or had a house fall or sale fall through, or had a price reduction. Personalized messages. I'm doing all of that and haven't employed anybody yet. But maybe I'm paying 20, 30 grand a year for my software. Like, I'm winning this race. You're not going to beat me. Of course, I'm going to end up employing staff, but they're going to be employing staff that close deals. They close listings. The software is telling me already, I've got AI software that's telling the agent what properties people are looking at on their website. Not like this property's had 100 views. No, this guy or this girl has looked at this property 3 times on your website, but they haven't sent you an inquiry yet. Now I can just step it one step further. The AI can just reach out to them. Based on everything they told us, and arrange the paid that property, that's based on the properties they looked at, based on this, based on that, and that I can encourage these people to viewings. And that is good estate agency, isn't it? Good estate agency is not me waiting for you to send an inquiry on Rightmove. The good estate agency is me going, Rob, I know you said you wanted a 4-bed house that was detached, and I know you're going to think I'm mad, but trust me, come and see this 2-bed bungalow, because I think you can do something with it. And you come and see it, and you offer on it, and you buy it. That's how you sell something that no other agent could sell. AI can do that. It's just crazy.
And that's what, like, when we were growing our agency, the issue we had was how far do we stretch before we have to get another staff?
Yeah.
How much pressure do we put before we have to relieve that stress curve to then alleviate that? And then what are the types of stresses we're dealing with to find the right number of staff? So something like this, you don't get that. It's like unlimited. You don't have to flex and stretch and pull it back. As you meet the demands get greater and they get greater and they get greater. Yeah, like his air doesn't come along and go, I'm burnt out. I need like a 2-month holiday because I've done 10,000 importers with me at every house that you ever sold. Doesn't forget any buyer that's ever registered with you. It doesn't forget any of your USPs. It doesn't, any question that comes up, it knows the perfect fucking reply. It's just, I've worked over the weekend. Can I have Monday?
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to hit my target this week. It's just, it doesn't do any of that stuff. So I'm not saying get rid of all the people. I'm saying even the shift for some of the best estate agents I've seen make the shift from what you would consider to be traditional estate agency over to the iceberg ecosystem of CRM, marketing, and all that sort of stuff. Even the best ones, they bring their old habits with them as well. So yes, they let the computer follow up all their viewing feedback, but then they jump in and do a bit manually as well. And yes, they let the computer qualify all their portal inquiries, and then they jump in and do a bit manually. No, you know more. You cannot afford to pay someone an hourly wage to chase viewing feedback that's already been chased by the computer because they ain't got nothing else to fucking do. Like, if the person was going to give you feedback, or if they wanted to make an offer, they would have done that. You needed the feedback, obviously, to feedback to the vendor. AI's doing it. It's gathering the feedback. It's even putting together the vendor care report for you every week with a summary of all the feedback, what happened with all the viewings, who we've been able to get through to, who we haven't, how many viewings we've arranged, how many times it's been looked at, all that sort of stuff. It's all being done. You're just clinging on to the past by going, yeah, I know, but I'll follow up with these ones that haven't replied yet. No.
Like, even just that to pull you back, because there's still like, I remember we used to have like feedback Fridays and just had the team sit down. We wouldn't be able to put viewings in.
And how many were in the team?
We had three and a half.
3.5. Yeah. Average hourly wage.
I don't know, between 20 grand, 25 grand a year.
Right. So let's just say £20 an hour.
Yeah.
£15 an hour, let's say, right? So, and how many hours is feedback Friday?
3 hours.
3 hours. So 3 hours, 3.5 people, let's say 12 hours or 10 hours, let's say 10 hours of work, £15 an hour. It's just at the point where like, you have to redeploy that money.
Yeah.
We've got to redeploy that money into revenue creating tasks.
Yeah. I mean, it just might, like, even that flip. So not even just the saving of that. Like you said, it's like we'd block out a whole morning on a Friday, no viewing, to do and it would be a copy and paste template, because we'd have team sat there trying to think of any real see that. Yeah, so it was like fill in the blocks.
Yeah.
And that, what's this, what's that? Exactly as you just said, and push a button, it does it anyway. If not, does it anyway, but even better, because it can collect the data like that.
Yeah.
Rather than a person had to go and hunt for that data and put it in place.
Yeah.
And then, so that, I already think then it's not only just the time spent on that. I'd be thinking, if they weren't doing that, that'd open up
Absolutely.
3 hours worth of
Revenue generating.
yeah, seeing clients, chatting to clients, doing viewings, speaking like in a different, like, even to the point where you could, like, yeah, that point now is like, I could you get 3 hours sat there with them, creating their own video bits just for socials.
Yeah.
And doing like stuff that you would see as, what's the point of doing that? That's not do it like, but that's the sprinkle on top, which makes agency more humanistic.
Matches it, right? All of that sort of stuff is just in businesses outside of a state agency. Most people are familiar with the metric of measuring revenue per employee as a measure as to how fast you're moving, how successful you are, how much work you're having to put in order to generate some money. In a state agency, you celebrate instance. It's just crazy. So stop it. Stop celebrating this and start looking for how to increase revenue per employee. And you will absolutely trample over everybody in the area. You can't keep up with me. If my revenue per employee is consistently, let's just say, £100,000. If you've got 10 staff and your turnover is 500 grand, in a state agency, then your revenue per employee is 50 grand per person. You're not making much more than what you've got to be paying people. There's not a lot left over to be investing in stuff. If I'm in your area and my turnover is 500 grand and I'm only employing 5 staff, my revenue per employee is £100,000. There's a lot of money left over for me to start doing shit. I'm going to kill you. If I can keep it at £100,000 per, like, if I could push it and go 150,000. Look at technology companies, they're crazy. You look at companies like Google, it's like millions of pounds revenue going for it, and then you work your way back down from there. But that's the metric that we have to start looking at in this industry and go, it's not about whether you need to do this in order to stay ahead with the bloke around the corner who's like a bit shit. It's, now that this technology is available, the revenue per employee could be high enough for serious players to enter this market. Serious companies to go, if you go into a state agency with the right technology, even though 150 grand revenue per employee, I guarantee you some serious players start entering the funky market.
And going back to you just like what that just highlighted the point on the fact of like 5 members of staff and 10 members of staff. Like if you were in a fire bunch, you're doing £500,000, and then you're doing 700, you're doing £1 million. Like the staff doesn't really change the numbers. Because really, when you look at the output, inquiries coming through, doing those messages, feedback, like again, all computer driven. So the computer could deal with 10,000 transactions in one go, and it still can come back to the same 5 people. And that's the bit where the revenue employee, as expansion grows, so I was only having a chat with a client the other day, and like he's expanding at the moment, and we were having a conversation with a member of staff, and he's paying good money that he's undecided whether to keep them or not. And we're talking about the dirty jobs that they do, and I was like, about a year, like that's doesn't even exist, and you're like worried about it. Like again, times that, multiply that, and he's growing. So like even if he kept his team at 7 or 8 now, and he grew 3 or 4 times in using that technology, it just needs getting greater and greater. He's gone from 5th or 6th in the market now to like number 1 in the market. Like those are your competitors coming through now, and then you're going to wonder like, hang on, how do they do with this? And by then you're thinking they're like,
too late, really too late.
Yeah.
It's like I say, it's like, but a lot of people say Blockbuster didn't adapt. They did adapt. Like they made Blockbuster online. They ripped off Netflix, like pixel for pixel, and they thought that they were doing the same thing, but they weren't doing the same thing. And then Netflix had an algorithm man underneath. They were monitoring what people were looking at and putting more things like that in front of them. They weren't. They flipped the entire model. Blockbuster was just serving, go to the video store and pick what you want. Like they never installed cameras in the video store to see what, encourage people to go near with it. Netflix flipped the whole model, and that's what we're talking about here. Like if you as a business have got the leadership and the strength to flip the entire model, you can be the one that does this. But someone's going to do this. We should wait for someone to do it and then go, how are they doing that, and try and catch them. Good luck with that.
And do you probably a question like I was chatting to actually Toby and our team about, do you find that, now I'm biased because I'm now on this side of the fence for quite a few years now, and I've got enough experience on both sides now, that we've always had a strategy around why we're doing what we're doing, why we release particular tools to enhance that whole thing, to support our clients' growth. But then we have others who just release tools for the sake of releasing tools, but no real strategy behind it. And then I always feel like the last year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, it's the same conversations that most agents have out there. They have all the access to these tools, but they still find it hard. But then you've got clients who are having extreme growth with a strategy behind it.
It's just, they're just managing something different, aren't they?
Yeah.
I have to say, like, your standard conversation that you would have with an estate agent, I would say, would be about them increasing their market share, increasing their revenue. Some of the most successful ones that I talk to are in the millions, they're turning over millions of pounds. They're not stopping to think, what's my revenue per employee? When you work it out, it's 50 grand. It's like, it's not, things haven't moved on. They've actually gone backwards from when it was like the 2 founders and a couple of startups. At that point, they probably had 80 grand revenue per employee. Now they're in the millions, they're successful, they've got branches, they've got that, but it's 50 grand revenue per employee. It's like, it's just going backwards. And you said it yourself, you grow, you stretch. How much can you stretch before you get another person? You get another person that they just start doing admin. There's no revenue growth here. We can all breathe a bit easier now. Thank God we've got to that stage. It's not the right strategy. So I think what we're thinking about is we're bringing in a different strategy, and that's what feeds what tools we'll build. So quite often we get customers that would come, or we get prospects that would say, I would join you if you just built this. No, but there's no reason for us to build that. No, I know, but I like to be able to make a hinted brochure, and until I can, I won't use the software. Okay, well, guess you want to use the software. Not in a. Don't mean that in a kind of stubborn way.
No.
I just mean it in like, it just doesn't fit at all into the strategy of increasing revenue per employee, being more efficient, like making more money, giving a better customer experience. Like we've mapped it out. We've proven it works. We've got clients up and down the country that are doubling, tripling, quadrupling their revenue. You know, Ben at Keystone's probably the best example of it. You know, the story that you told at Estate CX, a single branch estate agency, turnover of 120 grand a year, struggling. The same single branch estate agency, not more branches, not really any more staff, is turning over £700,000. That's crazy. Because there's a strategy. Because he worked with us on the technology front, he worked with you on the strategic front. He can now accelerate a program to look at the business and try and organize that side of things, right? And so we're then making tools that enhance all of them, rather than just like, you know what, I've seen a really good tool out there. Maybe we should add that because it seems quite popular. Or how do people use it? How does it fit into this idea? The mayor just.
It's an interesting point because I think like if you're out there listening and then looking at taking a new bit of tech, software, new provider, like ask them like, what is the future business strategy that you're developing for us? Where are we leading us down the line? If they turn around and say, oh, we haven't really got a plan, but we're just offering some free tools out there, or we'll give you this, we'll give you that, we'll give you a voucher for coming on a fucking call with us.
Yeah.
Like,
doesn't it sound good?
You're just thinking like let's get like moves the dial over here. And actually when you really look at it, partner should partner with a partner who it's like and they always talk about, I've seen this sort of phrase they say is like difference between a nice guy and a good guy. So the nice guy is actually a dangerous guy because he's just nice, he's forgiving, he's always going to give in to you. And they say actually a good guy based on morals, values, they've got direction. Like, so they might make decisions for the greater good, but not just being nice.
Yeah.
And the same with like suppliers and technology partners and partnerships with people. Like a nice supplier would do anything for you, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's the greater good for you. Like a good supplier, if they truly believe in the direction that they are going to lead and support you in, they will have a strategy in place and they'll have reasons behind that. Not we're just going to create this just to try and sell you or get a bit more market, get a bit more of a share out of you, or sign you up as a client against another supplier.
Yeah. Because
that's what we've done for so many years in this industry, and for 99% of the agents out there,
it just doesn't know what they're doing.
You haven't really did our fault. And like that. And I remember experiencing that in 2017, 16, 17. I was scratching around thinking, where do we move forward? And I tried with those tools. And it was only when I met you and I read that first book and I thought, I can't take the step anymore. I need to take the leap. And the leap is into faith and hope. We're going to go greater beyond all these round here. But there has to be the hope towards that direction that you don't know the existence of it yet because you are leading it, not following.
Yeah.
And I think like, say, just out there, anyone listening out there, just ask the people you're about to sign up to, or if you're having a new call with someone, say like, where's your strategy for the next 3 to 5 years? Where do you see the industry going, and how do you feel like us as a partnership, as a collaboration, what are you going to support me dealing with? If they turn around and say, going to give you a new tool, like a Valpal tool or instant valuation tool, or we're going to give you a free website, you got to be questioning like, well, what does that do? Like, if someone else comes along and does it and has that same thing, and you're going to give them that tool,
it's not just
where's the difference?
So what the justification would be is like, we could get more listings, get more leads. Like, yeah. And that's what we've been talking about forever. We're talking about revenue per employee is what you need to be thinking about in this new way. I can finish it really by saying like at Stated in CX at the end, I was just saying, I didn't come here today to talk to you about the end of a state agency. I just came here to show you the beginning. That's exactly what we're talking about. The companies that are starting now haven't got all these issues you're talking about. It's a fucking no-brainer for them. They're going to eat you alive unless you decide to be there.
Thanks for listening to this Estate Agency X podcast. Can you make sure that you're actually subscribed to this podcast channel if you liked the content? It helps us massively to get better guests, and it just helps us generally. So you might think you're subscribed, but just have a double check whatever your podcast platform of preference is, that you're actually subscribed, and then that way we can continue to grow the channel and get better and better guests for you.